皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Let's Ask Shogo. So this is my first video for my sub-channel, Shogo's podcast. Alright, thank you so much for coming here and listening to this first video. So I was wondering what I should do for this first video, and I was thinking, the title isn't appealing at all, it's nothing special, but you still came to listen to it, so I'm very thankful, and I thought maybe you'd like to know more about me. So I'd like to talk about my favorite things, 10 favorite things that I like, which I haven't talked about in my main channel. So we're gonna be doing this here in my first video, okay? So the 10 things, I'm gonna start from first. Favorite color. Yes, that's a good question. My favorite color actually is dark purple and dark green. Actually, it might be a little bit strange. It's not like regular color that you would usually hear, right? Purple is actually Japan's noble color. That makes sense. So in the past, for example, aristocrats would wear it. They would wear it in special occasions, like in kimonos even today. So I really like it so if you take a look at my katana in my main channel, the string, the sageo that comes from the sheath is actually purple. And dark green, you might notice my kimono I usually wear in my main channel is also dark green. I like dark green a lot because I simply like tea ceremony. It's actually kind of like a matcha color. Matcha itself is a little bit brighter, but I like a darker color, so that brings dark green. So that's my two favorite colors. Yes. And number 2, favorite season. Summer. Summer is definitely my favorite season. I was born in July 27th, and it was a really, really hot day, my mother told me. What's funny is that, my first daughter, Hinata, was born in 2018, and the year that she was born was the hottest ever in 24 years. 24 years ago was the year when I was born, yes. So my first daughter and I were both born on really, really hot days. But I don't know, maybe it does, affect your favorite season. If you're born in that season, you tend to like that, the season more. And I'm in love with summer. I really like summer. I can bear the heat. The heat isn't a problem at all for me. And I love having beer, by the way, in summer. So definitely my favorite, yeah. Okay, number 3, favorite food. It would have been great if I could surprise you in so anyway, but my favorite food are definitely ramen and sushi, and lastly yakitori, which is like a typical Japanese food that everyone likes, but I go with a typical favorite food. Yeah, I love ramen a lot. I really have to at least eat it once a week, or I'll probably die somewhere. Yeah. And in my main channel, I introduced my favorite ramen restaurant in Kyoto. But when I used to work at the Kyoto Samurai Experience, which is like a 2-minute walk from that favorite ramen restaurant, I probably went there like once every 3 days or something. And I would probably still be going there once every 3 days if I was living nearby, but unfortunately no. But I just really love ramen, yeah. And then next, favorite sports. Now this, I need to apologize, I don't have a favorite sport. A lot of people tend to think that I'm like a sportsman, especially in Japan. Especially in summer, I get tanned really easily. So people are like, wow, do you do soccer, do the baseball or something? I'm like, I'm sorry, I've done nothing in my whole life. When I was smaller, I used to do hip-hop dancing. I played the violin, played the guitar, was a part of the chorus club, but nothing related to sports. A little bit of martial arts, of course, but nothing to sports. I've done nothing before. So my mother actually loves baseball a lot, but not me. I don't watch any sports, actually, unfortunately. So the last half here, number 6 is favorite movie. My favorite movie is Cloud Atlas. Do you know this movie? If not, I hope you can take a look at it. My wife and I definitely love this movie the most. It's our favorite. I guess I really like it how there's actually like many different characters. There's like 6 or I think it was 6 or 7 main characters living in different time periods, and they are fighting for different things, but their true purpose, what's important for them. For all the different characters in all different periods are actually the same. And the message that's, included in this movie is so deep. And, I just love it very much. I watch it once in a while when I'm feeling like, a little bit down sometimes. I watch the movie and I always try to kind of remember what's important to me. Yes. Right. Number 7, my favorite book. My favorite book is a Japanese book, but it seems it was in English too. I looked it up. It's a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. Now that's a strange title, isn't it? You might have heard about it before. It's a book where they talk about the theories of Alfred Adler. Yes. And if I start talking about the content of this book, I'm going to probably have to make 2 or 3 more videos. So I'm going to stop it here. If you're interested, I hope you can take a look. The Courage to Be Disliked. It really teaches you how you should communicate with other people, how to control yourself mentally and such. And it definitely changed my life. And if you read it, you will immediately find out what I mean. Yes. And what's interesting about this book is that I love it so much. I probably read it like 7 or 8 times before in my life, but the person who gave this book to me for the first time was actually my father. Now, my father, when I was in high school, he left our house. My parents got divorced, and he was a very, very strict father. He owned a company, and I'm his first son. So he was originally raising me to be the next president of his company. So he would beat me, physical violence. He would do that kind of stuff to me. And I was always really, really afraid of him. Very scary, But when I grew up, when I was in university, I had an occasion to meet him once. And afterwards, I met him again to introduce Harumi, my wife. But ever since I haven't met him, I don't contact him at all. I don't know where and what he's doing right now. But anyways, when I met him when I was in university, we went to izakaya, had some drinks together, some sake together. And then when we was about to go, he handed me this book. And it was this book, The Courage to Be Disliked. And he said, this is a really good book and you should read it. And I was like, I really don't like my father that much, especially at that time. He had caused a lot of trouble in my household. But I read it, and I was like, wow, this book is great, And the way I met this book was really special for me too. So I really, really love this book. Okay, then it's gonna be a little bit fun. My favorite manga. Number 3 is Full Metal Alchemist, and number 2 is Tokyo Ghoul, and number 1 is Gintama. Yes. And the reason why I love these manga, if I start talking about this, this video is probably going to be an hour long, so I'll just talk about Gintama. Oh, if you like the Full Metal Alchemist or Tokyo Ghoul, please let me know in the comments. I would love to talk with you, or give me a message through Instagram. We'll definitely be friends. The reason why I like Gintama is because I love how Ginsam, the main character, the way he lives, the way he fights, the way he protects his friends, his family, Yorozuya, it really reflects the way of Bushido. And while a lot of the book itself, the Bushido, it idealized Bushido too much. I would say that the real samurai alive back in that time, they couldn't have been like that perfect. That's written in the book, right? With dignity, always acting properly, and with manners and everything. And that's impossible. They were mere humans too, right? So Ginsam, the main character of Gintama, he's the Bushido that I believe in. That makes sense. He's a lazy guy. He's not like always, working hard at anything. He's like a normal person, right? But when there's something that's important that happens to him, if there's someone that's violating his Bushido, he fights to protect it. And I think that this is the true Bushido. This is the real life Bushido, So I really love how throughout this manga, he shows me, the Sorachi sensei, the author shows us what real Bushido is supposed to be like. And that's the reason why I love this manga very much. All right. So number 8, my favorite traditional cultural art that I train in. So I train in Iaido, the Japanese katana. I also train in tea ceremonies. And lastly, I train in No theater, which is Japan's oldest theater art. My favorite, actually, While a lot of people say, "Oh, Shogo, you probably like Iaido, the katana, the most, right? Because you always have katana in your, videos and such, and you always talk more about samurai katana." But actually, my favorite is tea ceremony. Yes, I've made a few videos already about tea ceremony, but as you probably already know, they don't get too many views, and it's difficult for me to make them. But it's definitely my favorite. And the reason why I love tea ceremonies a lot is because, well, first of all, it was actually a culture of samurai. A lot of people think that it's for women and it's, just gorgeous and everyone just drinking tea, but it was actually a culture that's deeply rooted in the hearts of the samurai. So that's one thing I really want to kind of spread to the people and want everyone to know. And number two is it's actually like a crystal of Japanese culture. It has everything in it, the mind of hospitality or motenashi. It has the Zen philosophy in it. It has, again, related to samurais. It has, drinking matcha has health benefits. It has calligraphy, the hanging scroll in the room. It has flowers related to flower arrangements. Everything. If you train in tea ceremony, you are literally learning everything that's important to Japanese culture, to our traditions, to our history. So every time I go to training, there's so many new discoveries that I find. And, the things that my masters teach me is so connected to my daily life. And it helped me a lot to change me. And I'm going to be definitely making a video on my main channel to talk more about how tea ceremony changed my life. But anyways, tea ceremony is definitely my favorite traditional art that I train in. All right, then number 9, my favorite country that I traveled to before is definitely, first is Canada, and number 2 is Germany. I actually haven't traveled to that many countries before. I lived in America, studied abroad in Beijing. I went to Canada before, Germany, Austria, a few South Asian countries like Taiwan as well. But I went to Canada and Germany when I was in high school. As school trips, actually, I was part of an international communication course that was named in Hiroshima, and we had extra English classes, and we were lucky enough to go to these countries for school trips, and it was just a great experience. I had a host family there. I stayed for about 10 days each, I believe, and just the atmosphere in Canada, the people were so kind to me. Germany was my first experience of Europe, and the scenery of the cities, they're so different, completely different from Japan and Asian countries. And it was like I'm in like a dream world. I was like wondering if I'm still on Earth or not. The experience was so shocking and wonderful. And it was just stunning. Shocking is not a right word. It was stunning, yes. And the people simply was great. I would definitely say the people was definitely the great part, yeah. And my wife has never been to Canada and Europe before, so once our children is a little bit more older, grown up, I would definitely love to go as a trip, yes. Then lastly, my favorite motto. My favorite motto is on the wall in my videos, in my hanging scroll. It's written, if you can take a look at my main videos, we actually can't see the top part, but it's written, 人事を尽くして天命を待つ. It's a beautiful phrase that I love. So there's a lot of different translations for this word. It's not easy to translate, obviously. But I always say, do your best and nature will do the rest. So I love this phrase so much is because you can't control your life completely. And life is beautiful because you can't. Everything doesn't have to go the way, if everything did go the way you planned it, nothing will be perfect. I always say, my life is always perfect. The reason why there is happiness in my life is because there is pain, there's sadness. Everything exists because, if we talk about a little bit simpler topic, for example, if there's something is called big because there's something small, right? There's something that's called tall because something is short. Everything exists because there's an opposite side to it, and that's what makes it beautiful. I accept my pain and I accept all the sad things that happen in my life and I'm thankful for it, then what's left in my life to do, right? If everything is perfect, I'm always thankful for everything. What's left is to do my best, right? And then nature will do the rest. So this is the reason why I love this motto so much. And of course, though, there are times that I can't think of it like this way. Sometimes it's really hard, But I always come back to this phrase and I always remember, yes, I just have to do my best and my life is always perfect. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to this. It was something very personal. I hope something was interesting. But if your favorites are something related to mine, or if it's something different too, you can please let me know in the comments. It'd be great if you communicate. And so far, this is my first video for my podcast channel. I'm still thinking of how to do this, like if I should edit it at all, like add sound effects or add any music in the beginning, or what I should do at the ending, for example. Or yeah, so anything. If you have any ideas for me, please let me know. That'd be great. And yes, I'll see you. I'll not see you actually. I'll talk to you, I guess. You can listen to me in my next video. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye. ありがとうございました。